Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sharp, St. Andrews class of '68, and welcome to the Rocks and Razorbacks podcast. Here, we feature conversations with remarkable alumni, teachers, and administrators from both Middleton and St. Andrews High Schools. This is a great way to share meaningful stories and keep our memories alive of growing up in West Ashland. Now for today's show.
This episode, my wife Liz and I traveled to Columbia to meet up with some of her family at the Olympia Mill Village Museum. The museum has an annex dedicated to Olympia High School, a school that existed from 1901 until 1970 when it transitioned to a middle school. So like St. Andrews and Middleton alumni, Olympia folks are looking for ways to keep their memories alive, and this beautiful museum is certainly one way to do it. Sherry, tell me, how did this all come to be?
What happened is Jake and I, my husband, we grew up in this area and always loved Olympia and maintained close contacts. We did a lot of traveling through the years, traveling across country, and every time we got to a small town, there was a museum, and we would come back to Olympia and we would say, why don't we have a museum? Wonder who could start a museum? How can we do that? So once we kind of spread the word, people got on board, and it began to snowball, and we were able to form our nonprofit foundation in the year 2014, but it took us 4 years to purchase the property and get the content ready, and we opened in 2018 with the House Museum, the Schoolhouse Museum. We added the Olympia Annex 2 years later in 2020, and then later on we added the other parts of the outdoor exhibits as well. What we wanted to do was create a repository, a place to bring the stuff.
And where did all this come from?
People, when people heard about that, they said, do you need this? We said, absolutely, we'll take it, because we wanted to have a place to keep our memories. And it just turned out that some people had collections of yearbooks. We've had a grandchild who came in and said, my grandmother passed away. I have these 8 yearbooks and I don't know what to do with them. We said, oh, we know. So we've got that collection. So photographs, other kinds of memorabilia, we just, small and large items, we have found a place for it. But it has to have a connection to the Olympia Mill Village. We had to draw a line somewhere and say, okay, we're pretty full now, but we want to be sure it has a story that goes with it.
So is there an item in the museum here that's like the golden gem, the one that goes, oh my gosh, I can't believe you have this?
Well, we've got small things and we've got large things. We have high school rings, and we have a trophy that is about 5 feet tall from 1946. That trophy actually had some football players who were Army veterans. Whenever World War II came along, young men left Olympia High School to join the war effort, and 2 years later they came back as Army veterans, and we had a very good football team that year, and we have trophies to prove it. In fact, this one particular trophy that I'm talking about was actually won in Miami, Florida, so it was a regional thing, Southern Regional Championship. So that's one of the highlights. But we've got small things too. We've got cheerleading sweaters, we've got band uniforms. We have an assortment of, and of course we have a yearbook collection, all of the yearbooks from as many years as we could collect when it was a high school.
This area is special. My mom and dad grew up here. They both went to Olympia High. Mom was the beauty queen, and my dad was an athlete, played football and baseball and ran track. Yeah, but yeah.
What kind of emotions do you feel as you see their pictures or family pictures on the walls in the yearbooks?
I'm proud when I'm able to see their pictures here in this museum, pictures in the newspaper articles. I come from good stock, and it just makes me proud. A lot of people they sort of looked down on the people that worked in the cotton mill. They called them lint heads, but those people were hard workers. They spent a lot of time providing for their families. If you lived on the mill here, you didn't lock your door. Everybody was poor, so there was nothing to get from your neighbor. Everybody was poor, so but just I'm very humbled by coming in here too.
Becky, I'm so glad you're here today, and tell me what it is you think's interesting about having a museum here.
Just brings back all the memories from when you grew up in Olympia. It was so different then. You could walk to your friend's house anywhere in Olympia, little kids, and I went from the 1st grade through the 11th grade to the same school, and I still have friends that I had in the 1st grade.
Isn't that amazing? And I think that's something really valuable that a lot of people do not have. And how often do you get back here? And do you drive through or?
Yeah, my brother lives on Texas Street, and I go to church at St. Luke's on Olympia Avenue, and I just ride through the cemetery
to visit with all your family.
Yeah.
And how about your children? How are they? They have Olympia roots too, didn't you?
Yeah, my oldest daughter went to middle school at Olympia.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, we have lots of roots here over in Olympia.
And so does she feel that connection too?
Yeah.
So,
This reminds me of when I was little, stepping in this old mill house and looking through the albums and all the newspaper clippings, and just a lot of my family were athletes in this area, and so going to Olympia High School. So it's a great time just spending time here with my cousins, just reminiscing. 1953, they won the state championship in football. A great team. The lint heads. See, they thought the mill people were a lot of them were uneducated, but they sort of looked down on them. Society did. I know on Thursdays, I think was payday, Dad'd be working. I'd go with Mom right there at the mill and stand at the fence, and he'd come out and give her his paycheck, and he'd have lint. Well, he didn't have much hair, but he had lint all on him from working in the mill. And lo and behold, I ended up working in that same mill down here 16 years, and then transferred to Lancaster and worked 11. So I worked in textiles 27 years.
I didn't know that.
That same mill, yeah.
I did too.
I started out as a frequency checker in the IE department, industrial engineering, and I'd see Dad walk by and he'd go like that, wanting to take a break. And you fix looms down there, yeah.
Cut cloth.
But it provided a living for folks.
Yeah.
Those people were salt of the earth kind of folks. They worked hard. They believed in working hard.
The name Lint Head is like, what? That's a little crazy. Can you tell me about
Well, it was definitely a derogatory term because the people who worked there, their environment was so damp, the machinery had to have high humidity in order to operate. And there were cotton fibers all in the environment. And I remember my mother, a good example, when she would come out of work, her hair would be damp and there would be cotton fibers all in her hair. So it was a derogatory term, those old lint heads there. Now we wear it as a badge of honor. Only if you have roots here are you a genuine lint head. What is one of your memories from your early days in school, like when your first impression when you went in that school? Do you remember how?
I remember that I didn't want to wear a dress to school, and Pat had to take me home one day because remember that I pitched a fit and
But you know what? Then little girls females didn't wear pants.
I know it. They didn't. It was really different.
Yeah.
I mean, you dressed up to go to school, and
And you had school clothes and then you had your play clothes, and then
you had to take off when you got home.
Yes.
It's a lot
What else
different
about
now.
high school? What are some memories of that?
The ball games, friendships, and me and my friend Janet had a halfway mark. We had walked to each other's house, and there was a part that was halfway to her house and halfway to my house, and so when one of us would leave, the other one would walk each other there.
What are you looking at there?
The school bus.
See, I got
It wasn't yellow back then.
I got it framed just like that.
How have you gotten the word out that this place is here and welcoming alumni and those interested in the Olympia Mill Village?
Well, for many years, our high school held a reunion every year from about 1984 up until 2010. And after that, they started having high school reunions with anybody who had ever gone to school there every other year. And so as that population began to age and there was less and less enthusiasm for that, we still had this database that we had been contacting. And of course, this was the era, 2014, where Facebook was really becoming well used by people, especially in our cohort. So that was part of the way. Going through Facebook, people heard about it. And then, of course, people love coming through the community. So as you know, people tend to stay in touch with a lot of their childhood friends. So the word spreads.
Becky, can you tell Sherry if you're glad this place exists?
Oh, yes, I am. I'm really glad because it's just like if it didn't, all these memories would just go away. But that's, and your grandchildren can come over and see all this, and it's a good place to have.
It absolutely is.
And you and Jake do a wonderful job.
Well,
I'm so
and listen,
thankful.
our name is out front, but there's a whole bunch of people behind it.
Sherry, can you tell me a couple of great examples of people coming in here and reacting?
Well, reactions range anything from absolutely speechless to golly to just tears. And part of it is that we not only tell the story of Olympia High School, we tell the story of the Olympia Mill Village, which a lot of people who were not able to complete high school here, maybe they moved out, they still have very fond memories of the community too. So we have that preserved as well. So it is a wide range. We rarely had anybody who were not absolutely blown, because they don't expect it to be so spectacular, and when they come, they're just absolutely amazed. And we're always thrilled to have that.
Was getting the museum up and going as daunting as it seems like it would be to me or the average person?
It was, but we didn't know it at the time. What you don't know sometimes affects, sometimes you wouldn't try something if you knew how hard it was going to be. But once we were involved and we saw the interest and the enthusiasm from so many people from not just the Midlands area, but people from Washington State, from New Jersey, all across the country, where I call it our tangled linhead roots have spread. People were interested in having a repository or a place that we could have as a touchstone for our memories and memorabilia. And that's what we feel like the museum has established.
Our documentary, Rocks and Razorbacks, explores the question, how do they keep their memories alive, these two schools that are going away? And do you have any suggestions for me?
Well, first of all, I think get a listing of names and addresses or contact information for people who love the school. Fortunately we had developed a directory because we were doing those reunions for so many years. So we had that as a base to start. But now with social media, and if you've got a few dedicated folks who want to do something, they can surely do that. The first step for us was, of course, once we had the idea, forming a nonprofit organization, and that really allows you to get people to help fund what you're trying to do.
Now, can you give me your emotional answer? Should the alumni try to do something to keep their memories alive?
Absolutely, because it has meant so much to not only my family to know about our history, but we're preserving the whole entire community's history, and plus examples that we have all the time of groups of people who come here. Let me just share with you one other thing. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, the class of 1965 held a reunion here. It was on a Tuesday afternoon. It was a luncheon reunion. There were 25 people here, but it was a place for them to come and go through all the memorabilia and just relive those absolute beautiful memories that they all share.
Thanks for watching today's episode, and be on the lookout for additional episodes. If you'd like to be a guest or even a host in the Rocks and Razorbacks podcast, please let us know. We want the podcast to be the go-to place for cherished Middleton and St. Andrews memories. Don't forget, the Rocks and Razorbacks documentary geared for South Carolina ETV is in production, and we'd love your input and help with that as well. For now, go Rocks and, go Hogs. Well, you get it. Thanks.